For a film to be #1 on my countdown, it's gotta do a lot right. And out of all of the horror films unleashed this year, it's hard to beat the total package of horrifying goodness that is Richard Stanley's adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's Color Out of Space. This is the Best in Horror Countdown 2019 to 2020, looking at my #1 pick from films released between October 1st, 2019 and September 30th, 2020. Let's talk about Color Out of Space. Welcome to the official Best in Horror 2019-2020 countdown on ML Miller Frights, a part of the Kings of Horror Network. I'm ML Miller. Be sure to give this video a like, share it with your buddies across the electronic superhighway, click subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you're in the Chicago area and love horror, you've no excuse not to head out to the Chi-Town Movies Drive-In for the very last night of the Music Box of Horrors. All month they've been delivering 31 nights of horror, and their very last show is going to be tonight, Saturday, October 31st. They're ending this one on a double feature. Wes Craven's classic A Nightmare on Elm Street, the one that started it all, and Mahakal, which is an Indian ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street that is supposed to be pretty wild. It's got dance numbers, it's got music, and it's also got a dream demon slashing people away in a very familiar Freddy Krueger fashion. Look below for a link to the schedule, where to get tickets, and directions to this awesome horror event. Don't miss this final night. Be on the lookout for a new Kickstarter campaign for an anthology I participated in called Nightmare Theater. This is a collection of short horror stories made by a whole gaggle of talented souls. The project is being helmed by David Schrader and Clay Adams. I paired up with my pirouette artist extraordinaire, Carlos Granda, for a morbidly fun morality tale to filmgoers who dare break the rules of common courtesy in the wrong theater. If you're interested in fun, scary, and gory horror, please support the Nightmare Theater Kickstarter campaign. Look below for the link. At the top of the heap, at the #1 spot, is Color Out of Space, released on January 24th, 2020. It's available on digital download, on demand, and Blu-ray DVD from Image Entertainment. It's also streaming on Shudder. Color Out of Space is directed by Richard Stanley. It's written by Richard Stanley, Scarlett Amaris, and based on the short story The Color Out of Space by H.P. Lovecraft. When a meteorite falls from space and lands in the backyard of a farm owned by the Gardner family, it changes the family, the animals, the plants, and the land around it into something unlike anything Earth has ever seen. A young hydrologist named Ward Phillips, played by Elliot Knight, attempts to study the meteorite and understand its unusual properties before it spreads outside of the farm and into the water supply. Meanwhile, Nathan Gardner, played by Nicolas Cage, his cancer survivor wife, Teresa, played by Jolie Richardson, their spiritualist Wiccan daughter, Lavinia, played by Madeline Arthur, their stoner son, Benny, played by Brendan Meyer, and their younger son, Jack, played by Julian Howard, all experience the effects of the meteorite in vastly different, yet altogether harrowing ways. Richard Stanley has accomplished something that so many before him have not with Color Out of Space. Many films have attempted to adapt the cosmic horror of Lovecraft, and many have failed. At the same time, many films, including some of the most notable films in horror, such as John Carpenter's The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and In the Mouth of Madness, all borrow heavily from the mythos, as well as Ridley Scott's Alien, David Cronenberg's The Fly, and scores of other influential films we all deem as classics. There might be a lot of scenes in Color Out of Space that feel familiar to some, but you should know that those scenes were first done by Lovecraft, adapted into films, and now the source material is given its time to shine, and shine it does. Stanley tells a story about the painful deconstruction of a family with Color Out of Space. The family has already suffered quite a bit when the film opens. Teresa, played by Joely Richardson, is in remission, and it's quite clear that the entire family has been damaged due to this painful time. Nathan, played by Cage, chooses to relocate the family to a secluded farm in the country and raise alpacas, which are sort of like llamas, and touts them as the meat of the future. These are well-to-do people, but all of them are trying to pick up the pieces of their damaged lives and try to push forward as a family. In very little time in the opening moments, Stanley is able to communicate a lot of information about this family. From Lavinia's conflicted spiritualism, she's a spiritualist and a Wiccan, but still enjoys a good burger from time to time, to the short and sweet moments we see seeing the entire family gather around the table, to the even shorter moments of quiet where Nathan and Teresa gaze out over their property and soak in all of the peace. Richard Stanley really helps you get to know this family, and because of how well these small tender moments work in the beginning, seeing this family torn apart from a rock from the stars hurts so much later on. Almost immediately when the meteorite hits the ground, the world of the Gardners change once again. Just like an out-of-the-blue cancer diagnosis, to a healthy young Teresa, something is growing and changing everything around it in the Gardner farm. And just as the transformation of cancer cells may look brilliant under a microscope, the changes that sprout from the meteorite are beautiful but devastating. The casting of Color Out of Space is so crucial to its success. Joely Richardson is sympathetic and strong as a woman attempting to pull her life back together. She's just becoming comfortable with her healthy body again and tenderly attempts to move back to normalcy. She communicates this with action, not words, and it resonates through her interactions with the entire family, who seem to respect her but still want to protect her. Tommy Chong plays Ezra, a stoned-out squatter living in a shack in the back of the property. On top of his awesome presence and personality, he provides the closest possible thing to an explanation of the otherworldly stuff going on with his far-out rambling. Madeline Arthur is a true standout here as Lavinia. She delivers the right balance of rebellious youth and knowledgeable mystic qualities that makes her such an interesting contradiction. Her emotive eyes are the windows that we look at this movie with, and she really shines as the one most in touch with all of the weirdness going on. I have to say something about Nicolas Cage's performance here as the patriarch of the Gardner family. While Cage has become meme-worthy and is often seen as an industry joke to some, I think it was pretty genius to cast him as Nathan Gardner. Without Cage's quirky obsession with alpacas and his operatic singing in the car, the role of Nathan would have been such a bland and forgettable character. Basically, the character would be an overprotective father, if not for Cage's presence. Say what you will about Cage, but he gives his all to deliver a human yet extremely alien-like performance to everything he does. He's more restrained here than most of his roles, but the weirdness seeps through when he's focusing on the way he comes off on the TV interview, or simply saying the line boobs in a way that can only be done by this actor. Those following Cage's career closely will also notice another peach reference while they're cutting tomatoes in the kitchen. There's so many moments that really stand out in Color Out of Space. The film juggles CG and practical effects masterfully. You get a CG praying mantis, and then you get a practical effects alpaca monstrosity. The final nightmarish effects used on Teresa and Jack are a blend of all forms: CG, practical effects, and camera trickery, making it one of the most terrifying scenes of the film, and one of the most terrifying I've seen all year. While much of this is familiar, Stanley and his effects team deliver a film that looks, feels, and sounds like no other. The subtle to thunderous music adds another layer of excellence to this film. There's just so much from beginning to end to soak in, let envelop, terrify, and utterly enjoy. Color Out of Space is a story that has been told before in films like The Curse, Die Monster Die, Annihilation, Creepshow, The Blob, and so many other films. But unlike those entertaining yet flawed works, Richard Stanley's Color Out of Space gets the story right, even when things go cosmic and out of this world. Stanley is always grounding the story with this family, smartly focusing on their peril as a means to keep the viewer's investment anchored. I found every minute of the film to be enchanting and fearless. Stanley goes intergalactic in the final moments, and it's riveting to see Lovecraft's world finally shown in such brilliant colors, vivid shapes, and overwhelming feelings. You've got to give it up to filmmaker Richard Stanley, who triumphantly returns to horror by kicking in the door and burrowing into your psyche with his utter decimation of the modern family. It's simply groundbreaking filmmaking and a no-brainer as the best all-around horror film I've seen this year. Well, that's it. My pick for the #1 horror movie of 2019-2020. Be on the lookout tomorrow for another video talking about my least favorite horror movie of 2019-2020. Please chime in down in the comments and let me know what you think of Color Out of Space, how on the nose or mind-numbingly wrong I am, or you can counter with your own list. If you like this video, please pound that thumbs up button. Share this video with your social media addicted pals. If you're looking for written reviews, you can find them on mlmillerwrites.com. Don't forget, I have 2 new horror comic book trade paperbacks you should look out for. GRAVETRANCERS is out now in most comic shops, and Pirouette, collecting never-before-published issues, will be out on November 18th in only the finest of comic book stores. You can order it through Diamond Code APR 201712. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for alerts to be the first to see my future videos. Thank you so much for your time, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're